This is Rating Descending,
where we watch IMDb's worst 250 so you don't have to.
My name is Abigail Ward.
And I'm Michelle St. Clair.
And this week we watched LOL. As a new year at school begins, Lola's heart is broken by her boyfriend, though soon she's surprised by her best friend, promising musician Kyle, who reveals his feelings for her. Let's watch.
Yeah, so I'm spending a lot of time just in a room by myself, and I've spent a lot of time editing doing that. And I kind of like, I'm someone who values a lot of private time, right? I really, really like private time and need time to recharge.
Masturbating, right?
Well, I value that too. That can be included.
That's like 99% of your private time.
Certainly when I was 15. But also spending 8 hours, this job is 10 hours a day. Spending 10 hours a day saying basically nothing to nobody in a weird, strange, dark room is an odd experience. I remember there was a time a few years ago where, because the housemates I was living with weren't very communicative, and I was like at work, I was in a weird, strange room, and then I would come home and do a side job and stuff. I would go literally days without saying a word.
Yeah.
And that can be quite a lonely job. You know?
Yeah.
Strange experience. Do you ever get that sort of...
I feel you. Working alone is shitty and sad. I'm full of stress at the moment.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think there's just too much in my life and too many things pulling at me this way and that, and I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. I mean, I'm literally in the last leg of my master's, which is huge. Because, I moved down to Melbourne for this course, and now it's finally coming to an end, but I just feel so overwhelmed, and I took on more work than I think I needed to, but it's also been good. But I just feel like my stress is just kind of seeping into different parts of my life. Like, I'm creating issues that aren't really issues, but it's just because I'm stressed about one big thing.
Yeah.
So it's really tough. I feel like... I'm failing every part of my life, but really I am trying very hard. So I need to keep that in mind.
Yeah. It can be hard in those times where you're being pulled in a lot of directions and you feel like you're not doing good enough at any individual part of it.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you're still doing a lot of things.
I know. It's just like that saying of which is from Lord of the Rings, of Bilbo saying that he feels like butter scraped over too much bread. That's how I feel. I just feel like I'm spread thin everywhere and I'm not doing well in anything.
So are you soon going to get on a boat and not come back?
Well, I've definitely got a very ominous present to give you that I need you to take care of.
Oh.
I'll come back and I'll try and get the present off you, but I'll be spooky when I try.
Just be spooky for a second. Maybe the only effect in the trilogy that doesn't hold up.
But it scared me so much as a kid.
Wow. I think the reason I think it didn't hold up was because there was a real era on YouTube where people found the preset of how to do that in Sony Vegas.
Right.
And so that was in every second fucking video was that same face turning into a demon effect.
I will say, I did want to talk more about my stress, but just while we're walking down this little garden path.
Yeah, sure. We can talk about this.
Lord of the Rings, it's painful sometimes to watch it because I'm like, yeah, it's not holding up anymore. In terms of visually.
Disagree. It still holds up.
Because there's so many practical effects they do, but any of the CGI doesn't. There's literally a bit in that whole opening where Isildur puts the ring on for the first time, and it's definitely green screened, and he's like, and he's looking around, he slips the ring on, and he disappears, and it's just the most barbarically obvious green screen. It's just that a couple of the effects are showing up a bit more, and because I'm not a kid, it doesn't get away with a lot of things.
When was the last time you watched a Marvel property? Because they're still just as bad at that. I said before I really enjoyed WandaVision, but the last episode somewhat disappointed me for just turning into another piece of Marvel rubber people explosions and bullshit.
Right.
And the effects in that were somewhat weak. Especially, I even said this to my students recently. It did what is my least favorite green screen trope, which is two people will be moving through space or flying. It's often flying, but they will in some way basically be moving around a lot. And while they're moving in a wide shot, it'll be very clearly, you know, like CG rubber people that look nothing like a person. And then they'll like move to a particular equal distance from each other. And then it'll suddenly go to an over the shoulder. The actor is standing on their mark going, aha, I have a thing to say. And I'm like, fuck you, man. Make your filmmaking more interesting. At least have them move into the over the shoulder. Like, you can't have the CG people go to their mark and then cut to it. Be more like, if they were real people, that would be bad direction, you know? And it just makes it so obvious that you're splicing shit together. Hide the seams. You don't have to have the CG be good. That's what Lord of the Rings does, is it hides the seams. That's why it holds up, because you still believe it. You're in it. Anyway.
Yeah, so I've just been really stressed.
Yeah, I'm stressed about this.
I'm just stressed in general now. You've made it worse.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, look at me, little sugar bear.
Hello.
You got this.
Why are you covered in sugar? Oh, because you're a sugar bear.
I called you sugar bear.
What?
I didn't say, hey, I'm a sugar bear. I said, hey, little sugar bear, trying to be sweet.
It's a pretty clear indicator of where I'm at, guys, all right? Stress infiltrates everything, guys, even common comprehension.
Get ready for this episode to be loose.
Oh, baby, it's going to be loosey-goosey. Speaking of things that are loose.
Nice.
I saw my gynecologist, and they were like, this doesn't look right. Like, what have you been putting up here? And I was like, watermelon, rock melon, any melon I can get my hands on, straight up. Whoosh. Vagina's just a nature's juicer, is the way I see it.
What? Why did you pivot to this?
Don't ask me questions!
Unprompted.
Speaking of unprompted, the movie this week that we watched was LOL.
Yeah.
The 2012 teen film. I shan't call it a rom-com because I don't think it was, but it was a coming-of-age film.
I don't think it was romantic, nor was it a comedy.
Oh, it had elements of romance. It just wasn't romantic. This was a teen film starring Miley Cyrus.
It's hard to get more teen than this
Demi
fucking
Moore.
movie.
And a couple of white, shaggy-haired men that they were falling in love with. And it was, I gotta say, you're not gonna believe this, Michelle, not very good.
We just last week did Setup, and I can't think of another movie that could possibly be more completely on the opposite side of a spectrum to, whilst also being absolutely so close on a Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Like, it shares a fundamental spirit together.
Yeah.
You know, in that they are incomparably awful.
What did you say? Yes, Venn diagrams. Who was Venn? When did he diagram?
Oh.
How do you diagram?
Sandy Venn was just a high schooler when she got overlapped with Daniel Diagram. And they found while being overlapped that they had a lot in common. Sandy and Danny are Venn diagram. What is this? What is this? What are these sounds you're doing? Not related to anything. You're just making noise.
I was being Sandy and Danny.
I've joked before, you know, there's yes and then there's no but. Your comedy style is no and.
No, it's yes but.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no, it is. It's yes but. It's yes but in a different direction.
That's true.
I'll be doing a bit and you'll go, yeah. And then instead this thing.
Like, that's a great point, Michelle. Over in this way, if we're going to come down this path with me. LOL didn't give me the lols. All right?
No.
Didn't give me the happies.
Also,
didn't make me chuckle.
LOL,
didn't make me squeal.
LOL is a pretty disingenuous title. Like, there's just the voiceover at the beginning where she's describing all the people, and then she's like, and my name is Lola, but some people call me LOL.
I'm so glad you did the little...
And then nobody calls her LOL in the entire movie ever again.
I was so glad that you did that, because I was going to say if I was about to do an impersonation of that bit, it would start with a heh. Yeah, and they call me low.
It really is that stereotype
Yeah.
of the, you know, you think that I'm a weird kid? Well, hey.
You're right. No one calls her lol.
Ever.
They call her Lola every time.
It's just added in post. They
Yeah.
clearly changed it. Like,
Heh, that's me.
this
Lol.
this is a movie called Lola, and some fucking exec was like, you got Miley Cyrus. The kids are saying lol. I got a great idea. You gotta drop the A. And then the director is like, yes, I do not know if I will drop the A. Isn't she French or
Yeah.
something? Yeah. I do not know if I will drop the A. It will ruin the
Drop the A
integrity.
is some euphemism, I'm sure.
Oh, well, it makes me think of like drop the T
Yeah.
bullshit.
Nah.
But drop the A in this example is for asshole. Drop the asshole. I want more prolapse. This is not a good episode.
Oh, can we restart?
Do you want to do the overview?
I'm not done here. I'm still dwelling in this space.
That's fine.
You can't push me. We barely said anything of note. Everything's been rubbish. I'll say something
Cut
that
it all.
sounds right. I'll try and say something that sounds normal, and then we'll get to the overview.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You can try. Beep. Marker. And action.
Yeah, so what I found,
You knew the bit had to be you sounded like a person, but you just had nothing that followed up. You know what I think? You said, oh, I'm really stressed. Ugh. No, I think it's watching this movie that did it. Because I watched this movie a few days ago, and I definitely felt like I had to immediately go to bed.
so communism, capitalism,
I
you
mean,
know.
this movie does go into some big themes. I think this movie is trying to say a lot of things without ever communicating what a single one of those things are.
I will say, I think that's because the director is a woman and she's European, and it makes the film, she adds things to the film that almost improve it. It's still a terrible film.
It does
but I
feel-
think that her style makes it feel different from a lot of American films.
It
which
does
is
feel
good.
less like an American movie, and that's
Yeah.
a good thing. Also,
And there's a lot of themes about like being a woman and promiscuity and like being sexually liberated that they actually talk about, which is nice.
it's funny how frequently they basically openly declare the theme, but then also never make a point about it.
What do you think the theme is?
I think it's anything from women are allowed to have sex to the fundamental differences between men and women to mothers and daughters, as well as teenage relationships are destined for heartbreak to
See,
love can happen in any form.
You've gone wrong here because none of these are themes. The film doesn't have a theme. It just
No.
has things that it talks about.
Yeah.
But
That's my point.
yeah. But no, the whole thing had a really odd vibe to it because of the strange director, you know, because she's a woman.
But she's the second female director on the list.
I know, that's huge. Yeah. But it had
Yeah.
some like kind of nice like feminist undertones occasionally, but
Overtones.
overtones.
Overtones. But really, really like Gen X white liberal feminist.
But I'm glad it wasn't a film about. I thought it was. A lot of it was about her and her like boyfriends essentially, but really, they really tried to hammer home at the end that it was about her and her mom, and like it's
Yeah.
about her and Anne coming back together. So that was kind of nice. You're welcome. I will give you the overview.
Sure. I mean, it really hammered to me that it was about both sex and mothers and daughters, where in the first act, her mum goes, this is one of the first scenes, goes, did you get a Brazilian?
That was odd. I'm not gonna say I don't really flash my vagina to my mom.
Well, but then Miley Cyrus responds by going, gosh, mum, it's my body. And I'm like, man, I get this film.
This film was made in 2012. It has 4.4 stars. It's directed by Lisa Azuelos, who is a French filmmaker. And this is the second Miley Cyrus film that we're doing and the second Demi Moore film that we're doing. So we're on 2 for 50 Cent, 2 for Miley Cyrus, 2 for Demi Moore.
Yeah.
They've all got to battle this one out.
What
Who's
a-
going to come up again next?
Yeah.
Here's the overview. After her boyfriend Chad cheats on her, Lola starts a brief romance with her best friend Kyle. This is made difficult by Kyle's lingering friendship with Chad, but ultimately this doesn't fucking matter because it never comes up again in the end of the film.
I didn't even know his name was Chad.
Literally called Chad is the evil ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Lola's mum, Anne, is having sex with her ex-husband, but she's not happy. She meets a cop called James and they strike up a romance. Due to a misunderstanding, Lola thinks Kyle is cheating on her with a girl called Ashley, but this is quickly cleared up. Lola and her friends go on a school trip to Paris. Lola and Kyle finally have sex. When Lola returns from Paris, Anne reads her diary and finds out all of Lola's secrets. Lola goes to live with her dad, but soon misses her mum. They quickly miss each other and reconcile, but now they're also in new, fulfilling relationships. That's it.
Somehow in the movie, it feels even looser than that description.
I thought that was a pretty tight description.
Exactly. But it also feels loose in terms of a lot of the things that, like, this begins to happen and then it's over.
Yeah.
A new circumstance
There's
happens.
really problems that are solved within 2 or 3 scenes and then they move on to a new problem. It's not like a one long goal because this film isn't about anything. There's no
It's not.
It's just about a couple of weeks of Lola's life.
Yeah.
Loosely structured, but not really.
It is. I really couldn't understand what was going on at almost any point. And then every time I would like rewind it to figure it out, I'm like, oh, I do know what's happening. It's just what's happening is both gibberish and not to do with anything. Similar to the like what we were saying earlier about the like more Europeanness of it, but also how like it feels really loose with the plot. A lot of the time sequences end with a pop song. Like near the beginning, it seems like Lola and her mum are fighting. And then in the car, she just starts singing "You Can't Always Get What You Want" with the Rolling Stones. And it's this heartwarming moment, quote unquote. And it feels so unearned.
Yeah, 100%. Also, I've got to say, what I mean about like the fact that this film has a slightly different feel is that there's definitely... The film doesn't always feel completely scripted. There's almost like a casualness in some scenes where it's like, oh, this could have been nice in a good film. Like bits with the grandma's charming. Lola's grandma is a really good actress and she's very like fun to watch. And also Demi Moore's a good actress. So they're really nice to see together.
Yeah, I think of the people who have had multiple appearances on this list, she's the best one. I mean, what a downfall this is from Striptease though, you know?
This is true. I mean... According to IMDb, it is.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought Striptease was much higher than IMDb.
Sure. Well, actually, I have a piece of trivia, but I want to tell it to you now because we're on the subject of Demi Moore.
No,
because she is fantastic.
We can just save it if you want.
No, I want to tell you.
Okay.
Apparently, there was a French teen film that was made by this same director.
Right.
And it was also called LOL.
Right.
And it was a French teen film made by Lisa Azuelos. And they asked her to remake it like for America, and she said, I'll only do it if Demi Moore's in it.
Huh.
And they got her. And that's how liked and sought after Demi Moore is. Again, when we were doing like Striptease trivia, I was like, fuck, people love Demi Moore. She was paid $12 million to be in that film.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
She's really good. I can't believe she wasn't in more things that I saw growing up. I don't think she's great in this, but I also think the dialogue she's working with is mangled and jarbled.
Yeah, it's not great. She's also not a good character in this, but she's likable and watchable.
I hate her character in this so actively.
Why?
Because it feels like it feels like the trope of someone who was lefty when they were a teenager and then gets conservative as they get older. Like at the beginning when she's meeting the cop, she's at the police station and basically all but says "fuck cops." And then as soon as she realizes that he's hot and a cop, she's like, oh, well, obviously, you know, not all cops, that's fine. And then grows, like, her arc is to learn to love the police.
No, she's just being polite.
She also
I don't think that's her arc.
She also says to her therapist, you know me, I'm all about feminism and girl power, but not when it's my daughter. And I'm like, that's a really weird thing to fucking say.
She says that to her... She doesn't say that to her therapist.
Yeah, she does.
No, she says it to someone else.
She says it to her therapist.
She says it to James.
She says it to her therapist.
Because she has that conversation. She says, I'm all about women doing what they want with their bodies and being sexually liberated like men. And he's like, me too. And she's like, ha 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 ha. But when it comes to my daughter, I don't feel the way, but it's just because she's my little girl and I need to let go of that. And I'm like, that's nice. She knows that it's not logical. She's appreciating that. I thought Anne was a really nice character. Also,
I didn't like her.
I didn't feel like she was like, being like, oh, fuck all cops, but not this cop because he's hot. When she found out he was a cop, she just genuinely felt bad that she was insulting his profession. And she was like, oh my God, I'm sorry.
But she shouldn't, is my point.
I'd feel a bit guilty if I met someone and I was just like, I don't know. Depends on the person, I guess. But she's being polite. And she's being self-aware. Welcome to my TED Talk defending Anne Williams, the mother of Lola Williams, in the absolute flop film, LOL.
Well, welcome to my TED Talk hating Anne Williams. It'll take place at the exact same time on the same stage.
Who's going to get more tickets sold, baby? Oh, same stage.
It's Battle of the Teds. It's like Battle of the Bands, but it's TED Talks. Amp versus Amp. Who's louder?
Yeah, you're going to win. You're one of the loudest people I've ever met.
What?
More than anything, you project.
Oh, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It depends on the environment. Great in, say, a crowd or in the great outdoors, but in a library, not so much.
My mum enrolled me in drama classes because I was a very anxious and quiet kid, and all she's done is create a very anxious and quiet adult who knows how to talk very loudly accidentally.
Yeah, you're a killer at projecting. You really are.
Thank you. I hate it all the time. I wish I spoke more softly.
Why don't you try now? A really delicate, dainty voice.
Hello.
Not again.
It's me, Michelle.
We've been here before.
I have always been here for the podcast. I am speaking softly and not projecting. That is why you can barely even tell I am here.
Michelle has two modes. It's projecting and Margaret Thatcher. Which will win?
Neoliberalism always wins.
Your Majesty.
I am here. I am also doing the vocal delivery of Nico from Velvet Underground. I'll be your mirror.
Am
Reflect
I pretty?
what you are. Am I pretty?
Do you all think that me, Nico, is pretty?
Am I pretty? What a
See, that was a
strange
great
woman.
exercise. Do you feel a bit more... Have you learned anything from
Yeah,
that?
absolutely.
Fuck! God, my ears are bleeding. You actually notice that I'm always shoving cotton, like, buds into my ear every time you walk into a room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I never take them out. I just keep putting more in.
Well, they always get smaller. They
Yeah.
dissolve.
Well, you'll notice, if you actually just pull at my skin, I just kind of tear away like a cotton bud.
Ah.
Yeah, it's all cotton, baby.
Ah, no, that is horrific.
Ethical.
You tear away at your skin.
Recyclable, I think.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Why would you put that
Can you
mental
imagine?
image
You just,
out
like-
on a fun podcast?
You pull at someone's skin, it just tears away
No,
like a
no,
cotton
no.
bud.
Hey, listeners at home, why don't you instead think of a fluffy cloud that Abigail is just lightly pecking
Look
a
at me,
soft...
tearing
No.
my skin away.
Back to hell!
You can pull and pull, and I'll
Back
just
to
keep
hell.
coming apart.
Shooting you with a blaster gun.
Oh, the fool!
Not on my watch, Haas.
Your bullets only sink into my cotton beds. I absorb
God
them.
damn it. Blaster in my hand won't even work.
I grow.
Good thing I got a lightsaber, bro.
My God.
Getcha. All right, time to go find my old pal, Earth. What I think people appreciate about this podcast is the fact that as a film educator and a screenwriter, we have a lot of insight into the filmmaking process. And I think we really showed it just now.
Sorry. I feel with it. I'm kind of like... This is such a dumb episode. Good luck. Good luck putting this together.
No, it all stays. All of it stays.
Okay, let's do it.
Did you just call out for your mommy?
Nah, man.
But did you notice the audio editing in this? Because it was fucking shocking. At the beginning especially, I heard so many weird audio cuts. Like, Lol would be walking down a hallway and it would very clearly like cut off some of her dialogue and then go to one of the speakers and move over and stuff.
So odd. No, I didn't notice that at all.
The editing in general, but the audio editing in particular, was abysmal in this
Oof.
movie. Honestly, like, Getaway and Driven were bad editing because it was too much editing. This was bad editing because it was poorly put together.
Yeah.
Not just like no insight, like some of the really uninspired movies, but actively bad and confusing. Never had any fucking clue what was going on or where people were.
Fair enough. There was definitely a couple of things. I wasn't looking at the audio editing. I did think that, again, the reason it didn't feel like just an American film is that she was almost... There were moments that... There were almost a couple of shots that I was like, that's very like new wave, where like there was a bit where they were following Lola and Kyle like walking, and it was like they were just chatting, and it was like this long shot from the side, and I was just like, this is very new wave, where like they're stopping and starting, and yeah, very French in a lot of ways.
I actually, when watching this movie, was not in any way reminded of the French New Wave.
Very Breathless-esque for sure. I was getting Godard, I was getting Vada.
Oh, that's, yeah. Well, I was getting Godard in that I was worried that this movie hated women. Hey-oh.
No, but it's interesting. I did like Anne, and I thought that like she was obviously an overprotective mother to too much of an extent, and that was the problem. But they come back together and they reconcile and they love each other, and it's a beautiful ending.
Somewhat arbitrarily, but yes, they do come back together.
Let's talk about Chad.
You mean the guy who in every scene goes, whore, slut,
you're a hoe,
bitch,
you're a fucking hoe,
you're a fucking hoe, and then she says stop, and then no fucking adult goes, hey, shut the fuck up, Chad.
He's actually like so misogynistic and problematic, and they're like, yeah, but he's in our band and he's our friend, so it's fine.
This is awful. I actually didn't understand they were friends until halfway through. I thought for sure they all hated him.
This film has a really odd understanding of like relationships and expressing where people are standing with one another, because I could never quite tell who was together, who wasn't together, if they were dating, if they were still friends. At the beginning of the film, she's with Chad. And then he comes back from summer break and she's just like, yeah, well, you didn't call or text me the whole time. And he was like, yeah, sorry. I was trying to send messages, but I guess there was just no phone reception. But also, I did kind of hook up with this girl while I was there. It was a one-time thing. And she's like, oh, yeah, thanks for telling me. I also hooked up with someone. He's like, oh, that's great. It's great that you won't be alone. And she's like, yeah, bye. And that's how they break up.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that they were in a relationship. Like, even after her voiceover.
I had to look it up.
Yeah.
They were in a relationship, and that's how he told her he cheated on her, and that's how they broke up. And their conversation was done.
I only got it from context clues halfway through. I was like, oh, they were dating.
Yeah, and then throughout the film, I was like, are her and Kyle now together? Are they still friends? And also, like, when they rekindle things, when they're in Paris, they're still not together. They're just having sex and sleeping together. And she's like, let's just be friends.
Yeah.
There was just a really odd... I could never understand who meant what to another person.
I also couldn't tell if Lola was meant... Because I feel like sometimes they're trying to communicate to us that she is a virgin and who wants to have sex. But then also the way that the having of sex is not a big deal suggests to me that she just does want to have sex with him. Like, either is a fine story to tell, but I just didn't understand why it was so prevalent.
A lot of the film was about the fact that she was a virgin.
So she was?
She was a virgin.
Okay.
And when she has sex with Kyle, it's her first time, and it's his first time.
Right, okay.
She's just really keen to get back at Chad and Kyle by saying that she slept with other people. But it's not true.
No, okay.
Yeah.
It's just, she seems to really like downplay it with Kyle, and it really confused me.
This film is also full of very like Austen-esque misunderstandings, where someone's phone doesn't work, or she sees the wrong thing and thinks that Kyle has slept with another woman. So it's this long misunderstanding. Again, it's very period drama-y, where she's like, you cheated on me, you betrayed me, we're done. And then she finds out later that it was all a misunderstanding and he is her dream man.
In what is now a recurring bit, I actually, while watching this movie, didn't at all think of acclaimed writer Jane Austen.
I'm saying Austen. I'm saying Godard. I'm saying Botticelli. All right.
Why?
The art, the mise en scène, the composition.
You got me there. This movie made me think of Wagner. There was music in it.
I would actually say Liszt is more the composer I'd compare this one to. But
is that because he's French?
He's German, actually.
Is he?
Yeah.
I think I'm just thinking of the fact that there is that song by the French band Phoenix that is a pun on Liszt.
Oh.
Just Listomania.
Nice. I think that was an actual term.
Right.
I think, just as a side note, I think Claude was telling me the other night that people were obsessed with Liszt and that there was something called Listomania. Because I brought him up and he was like, yeah, people went nuts for Liszt.
Like Beatlemania?
Yeah.
For Liszt?
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I was thinking of the French band Phoenix, who sang
Right.
about list.
Right. No, but yeah, there's so many comparisons we can make. What I'm saying is that just as a forewarning, my rating will be 10 out of 10.
Yeah, sure. That makes sense. Yeah,
Just for the art of it all.
no, that absolutely tracks. Also, her friends are so weird because there's the blonde friend in particular who
Ashley? No.
Emily, who spends a lot of the time having sex with the nerd boy, and she's ashamed of that. But she's very unashamed about desperately wanting to fuck her teacher, who seems to be too close to towing the line of flirting back.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait, like, I was like,
He knows what's happening and he's kind of enjoying it.
yeah, but he seemed to be like somewhat turning it down and embarrassed by it at first. And then there's the bit where he's like covering for her ploy to get him to come over and then was trying to like let her down. And it made me go, wait, were you going to fuck her? Because she's a high schooler and you're her high school teacher. Don't do that.
Yeah. I also liked that character because she was so sexual. She really wanted to fuck anyone.
She was, which that was neat.
That was nice. I like that she was like almost having like fake cam sex as well. Being
Yeah.
like, when you're a teenage girl,
that's
you're horny
right,
as
yeah.
fuck.
Yeah.
You really are. Like, you're just as horny and you're
She
so
put
confused.
she puts the camera in the chicken so it looks like she's putting it up her vagina.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
It feels like a classic teenage girl prank. That's neat.
Yeah. And even though she was pranking him, it's like, yeah, chicks would go on Omegle all the time and just flirt with strangers for validation because it's fun.
Yeah.
So,
Because they're horny and all of the men in their lives are both immature and also treat them like a fucking weird object.
100%. So that was nice. And again, yeah, she's just horny as fuck and wants to have sex all the time. And Lola's
Yeah.
like, I want to lose my virginity.
I feel like
And
they should
Anna's
have
like, I
used
want to have sex.
they should have used the other friend who to be more like, I don't want to have sex right now. Like, I'm not ready. Because then the idea that the theme is about sex is more prevalent. Because
Yeah.
the idea of having a friend who's really, really into sex and like main character wants to have sex is good. But you need the contrast character who's also saying like, I'm not ready for sex right now.
That's classic. That's
You know?
a classic way of doing it. Because like if you have like a strong theme, then every character is designed around it. So there
Yeah.
should be one for the theme, one against the theme. One usually everyone either supports or is against it, but you should have a good breadth of both, you know?
But that's the thing, because if they want to make the feminist version of this, it doesn't even need to be against having sex, because the mum is somewhat against her having sex. But the friend should be like, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
So you should make sure that you feel ready.
100%.
You know?
But again, in the end, it wasn't about her and Kyle because the whole first half of the film is really about her and Kyle.
Yeah.
But then at the end, you're like, oh no, it is a film about mothers and daughters somehow. Like that's how it starts, that's how it ends. It's like them like spooning together because it was about their love all along. But again,
It's like,
mothers
was it-
and daughters is not a theme
Yeah.
at all.
can't-
It's two characters in a film.
Yeah, you
Are you
can't
saying, like, if you
have a mother and daughter and say that's a theme.
mothers, if your theme is like to be a good mother, you can't be protective. That's the theme. But then you have to go really fucking balls to the wall with that theme. You have to really express it and
Yeah.
make sure it's almost go on the nose with it.
Yeah.
And that's what this film kind of was about. But she didn't really learn anything from the end other than we fought, but we made up.
It was so on the nose about all of the wrong information. It was like characters literally going like, it's really hard to have a daughter. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like,
Also, Miley Cyrus. What did you think of her performance?
Man, I mean, I watched the Hannah Montana movie and I didn't know it could go that much lower. But it did, like a lot lower.
Yeah.
That was really fucking piss poor.
Yeah, it wasn't great, was it?
I like if I didn't know already that it was Miley Cyrus, I would say, oh, this is this person's first time acting. Very first time.
You really can't tell from the film that she is a superstar.
No. You can't even tell why she is still a superstar.
You can really see her almost recalling the lines that she has to say
Yeah.
and then saying them without expression.
Which is also what I mean when I say that the editing is weakening them. They're leaving these huge pauses between
Yeah.
the lines that I'm sure were present on set, but you can get rid of those in the edit.
Yeah.
Like, you have that power to make the performance feel snappier.
100%.
They just left it in. The movie feels like a rough cut.
Also, I don't understand. It's called. Why is it? I know her name is Lola. We've already talked about how that's odd. But why is it called Laughing Out Loud?
My theory is that the movie was called Lola and then they dropped the A
No,
to
'cause
market it to teens.
The original film was called LOL.
Was it?
Yeah, the French
Sure?
one. And then in brackets, laughing out loud.
Okay, I guess just because teens use the acronym.
Because they
it's
use their phones.
About teens.
Because there was a lot of like heavy
use of
their phones.
I don't understand what, like, were they texting or were they using a messaging app?
I don't know.
The format of it almost felt like what was it?
There's no app like that in the world.
What was it? In like instant messenger? AIM,
MSN?
MSN. It almost looks like MSN to me.
No, it looked older than MSN ever looked as well. Like MSN looked neater and crisper than that.
I would never describe MSN as neat and crisp.
Hey, you could choose fonts. The screen was big.
What?
These were like on their little phones.
Yeah.
MSN was big.
MSN was pre-iPhone.
Yeah. On the computer.
Yeah, but I mean,
you can't use MSN on your phone, or no one ever did. It was always on like the big chunky computer.
No, I'm saying it looked like MSN, but you're saying it looked older than MSN. I don't think it looked older than MSN.
Because it had like the weird little square avatars.
Yeah.
And then it would be like these big blocks of like a bit of text in it, and then
really ugly design of the texting
There's nothing
thing.
like that in the world you message with. Who was in charge of that?
Maybe it's an Android.
Classic Huawei.
Yeah, Huawei.
Cut it. Cut it.
Why them in particular?
Because that was my first smartphone.
Okay.
Yeah. I had Fruit Ninja.
I probably will cut it, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
Hey, they did a really cool new version of it was called Fruit Ninja Plus on Apple Arcade with new features. I can download it if you want to give it a go.
Oh, thanks. Sure, that'd be cool.
Great. It sounds fun. Sounds like a fun time.
Where was I?
We're talking about why is it called Laughing Out Loud.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about the texting.
Yeah, the texting was insane. But
This
also
is weird. I could never understand in the texting who was who or who was saying what.
I really had to stare at like the actual name at the top and find it.
Yeah.
There is something I want to say about this film. We've touched on this before, and that teenage girls aren't allowed to like things a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So I did watch this keenly understanding the appeal of it if you're 12. Like,
Yeah.
I was thinking if I saw this film when I was 12 or 13 or 14, just a bit under Lola's age, I'd be like, this is so cool. I want to be all their friends. I have a crush on the lead. Like, I would understand the appeal. And going through IMDb reviews, a lot of people are like, this is amazing. It's really giving me nostalgia. And like, this is like what it feels like to be a teen. And I'm kind of like, I get it. It is a teen film and it's for young women, and that's fine. I don't want to make fun of young women for enjoying it.
I did go in going like, I don't want to prejudge it for clearly being just a movie marketed to teen girls. But it is as bad as
Yeah.
It's actually worse than I thought it was going to be.
The thing is, like, I think this film is stupid, but I also think that Angus Thongs and Full Frontal Snogging is stupid, but I love that film.
But I think that's at least 5 full points above this in terms of critical rating.
Guess so. But I love that movie.
Yeah,
I'll stand by it.
Well, that's a pretty well made movie that knows exactly what it is. This is an awfully made movie that has no idea what it is.
I know, but even some bits of this film made me feel like a certain sense of like preteen nostalgia, being like, I remember what it's like to have a screen crush and have a diary and cry a lot in my room alone. Being a 13-year-old girl is fucked.
She's not 13 though.
I know, but
she's like 17.
I know, but 13-year-olds watch this content,
right?
And they think that they're 16 in their head. They want to be older than they are. 13-year-old girls really look up to 16-year-old girls.
Yeah.
And they want their lives.
I remember being 13 and like really liking all the 16-year-old characters and stuff. And being like, man, I can't wait. That'll be so cool.
Yeah.
And then being 16 was the fucking worst. Maybe the worst year of my life.
Do you want some trivia?
Yeah.
Brighten up your life?
Yeah, I would.
IMDb trivia. Here's a bit of trivia for your cuppa.
Oh,
who's that? Who's here then?
Oh, who's in?
Who is here? Who's that?
It's me, a fucking police. Open a fucking door.
It's open.
All right, what's all this then?
Oh, we're just having a bit of tea, copper.
Oh, is that legal tea?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Any disturbances?
No. Do you want a cuppa? Do you want to sit down? You look like
No,
you had a rough
I'm on
day
the job.
No, stick around for a cuppa, copper.
No, I'm on the job. I gotta go.
Oh, I love that he's a man with ambition. Oh, that was rude, wasn't it?
What's all this then?
What's this lot?
I couldn't in there.
I love my northern wife.
Thanks for being so generous as to identify the region. Yes, some trivia would be good.
Again, good luck. The crew kept a running tally of the number of iPhones that were broken on set.
What?
Because whenever the director, Lisa Azuelos, would get frustrated, she'd throw one on the ground.
What?
The French, you know?
No,
Women.
that's... Well, okay. The French, as in terrible.
I didn't read further into that, but she sounds terrifying.
Yeah,
I'd be upset if my boss kept smashing iPhones on the ground at a minor inconvenience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, something that I read about her is that she is the daughter of a famous French singer. And the woman's name was
Jean-Luc Godard.
Marie Laforêt.
Oh, I've heard of her.
Yeah, that's Lisa's mum. She was a French singer and actress. She was known for her work during the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, like the Yeah girl period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Girl.
I genuinely love that music.
Aww. Yeah.
That's why I really love Francois Hardy and Jane Birkin.
It's Francoise. You're actually fucking embarrassing me. Sorry, guys.
Fucking conniption.
So I'm just going to have to smash an iPhone now.
Oh, no. Oh, no, mate.
You know, when you...
This is what it sounded like on the set.
And then you hear clunk, clunk. Oh, what's all this then?
Oh, fuck, it's the police. Yeah, Lisa always sounded like, fucking hell, what's going on?
Whilst filming LOL, Douglas Booth, who played Kyle, the main love interest, developed an obsession with carrots. He would chew them whenever he was nervous.
I that actually, I think, is my least favorite bit of trivia.
Well, you expect me to read that and not include it? We're going to talk about this, Michelle.
No, of course. We didn't even talk about the band, by the way.
Oh, yeah, there's a whole Battle of the Band storyline.
Yeah, their band, has a bunch of legit songs in it. That last song I thought was actually pretty, period appropriate.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. There's that bit where they're kissing at the end and that song is playing and I kind of got a little chill just because, again, I remember what it's like to be 13 and watching Angus songs and Full Frontal Snogging where they're playing Ultraviolet.
Which was better. Still bad, but better.
Ultraviolet's great. And then she's, kissing, Robbie at the end and I was like, fuck! Oh, my little hormones! I'm going to go online and chat with a stranger! That's what it's like being 13. All right? Oh, it was just disturbancy.
What's all this then?
What's all this then?
Meanwhile, I was watching Fuck. Meanwhile, I was watching cartoons like a fucking cool person.
Oh, fuck. So, my proposed theory is that Douglas Booth is a little rabbit boy. What's yours? Rabbit boy or not?
My theory is that he had really poor eyesight, and Lisa as well as straight up first day of set and snapped his glasses, and he was like, "I guess I got to get better eyesight." And then his doctor was like, "Hey, well, you should also try some carrots on top of these."
It specifically says that he would chew them whenever he was nervous. Maybe he was nervous because the director was going around smashing iPhones on the ground every day.
You ever have such a toxic set that your actors develop a carrot habit?
Lisa Azuelos both wrote and directed the first incarnation, LOL, which was 2008. After realizing that movies based on teen life in her home country of France were almost entirely missing, she would often go see her daughter go to the theater to watch an American teen movie or a horror film. And I thought that was really neat because this woman actually identified a gap in French film and made something to fill it, and it was really well received.
We should do that in Australia.
I know. I mean, that's what I'm constantly always doing, to be honest, is just trying to think, what do we not make, which is everything that is in a fucking dystopian thriller. And how can we make it?
Hey, we also make movies about men standing out in the outback being really sad because they hit a woman and going, "Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, it's pretty hard out here in the outback. On my land. I mean, it's not my land, but it's mine now." And then there'll be one Indigenous person who's in 3 scenes who'll give wise advice.
Yeah.
Being like, "Yeah, I know exactly how you're going to make it through this, Davo." And Davo will be like, "Yeah, thanks, mate. I appreciate you forgiving me for the colonialization before.
And it's really desaturated. Every
Yeah.
shot is really long. There's
Yeah.
real no semblance of structure.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's
And
what we make.
It'll be about 20 minutes of content, but the gaps between each line will be so long, it'll go for about 100 minutes.
Oi, Robbo.
Yeah.
You alright?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah. And that's it. That's the movie.
The Rover. Here's something that I read as trivia. Lola's nan gets drunk on just one Scotch and Coke. People shouldn't be allowed to enter things into IMDb, guys.
Doesn't she say in the movie, I drank one or something?
Yeah, I think so. And then it's that with an exclamation mark. That's a piece of trivia. Do you want some reviews?
I would love some reviews.
Well, you're gonna get some reviews.
I wrote...
I'm kidding.
Reviews!
On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 17%.
That's actually very high.
It's high in comparison.
Much higher than like Ouija, which was like 3%.
Yeah. Here's a review that was left by John Layden from Variety. LOL is a shapeless and charmless teen-skewing trifle stocked with trendy slanguage and social network gimcracks. Gimcracks? Gimcracks.
I don't know. I'm too obsessed with slanguage.
There's a lot going on. GIM cracks. Gimcracks. That make it seem like something 4 years past its expiration date.
Yeah.
Felix Vasquez Jr. from Cinema Crazed wrote, "It's a shame in a year that gave us the perks of being a wallflower, we have this tepid piece of junk." Here is an IMDb review. This film had a lot of 10 out of 10 reviews.
Oh.
Here is one that was left by Red Robin, and the title was, "Much better than I ever would have thought."
Oh, that's kind of sweet.
Critics will obviously hate this movie once they hear Miley Cyrus. They won't even give it a chance. They're stubborn. This movie needs to be watched with an open mind. Not a huge MC fan, but I loved this movie. It was 100,000 times better than expected, and the concept is so relatable. The acting is so spot on, it's almost freaky. 11 out of 10 stars for impressing me, winky face. So didn't expect such a great movie, winky face. Critics better watch before judging, because they'll be astounded. Good job, Miley. Wow. 10 out of 10.
Love it. I mean, I do agree with the sentiment that a lot of critics would prejudge it. A lot of critics are not the demographic of this. They're middle-aged white men, largely.
Yeah. Here's a review left by a really lovely man called Muhammad GH1692. 10 out of 10. Subject is the best movie in 2012. The best movie in 2012 is LOL, because Miley Cyrus, the best actor. I live in Iran, and I love Miley and Miley's movies. I'm sure that the best movie in 2012. Anyone down to the movie data, rate The Enemy, was Miley. I gave this film 10 points. I am one of Miley Cyrus's fans. And despite all the restrictions in Iran, I'd support him in my sight. The movie Miley Cyrus are among the world's best films. Long live Miley Cyrus.
I don't know whether this is just like a translation issue or someone doing an elaborate bit. What is this? Such a strange review.
Are you not listening? All right.
Sorry.
Long live Miley Cyrus. I'm getting really heated tonight.
Fuck.
And as he says, anyone down to the movie data rate, The Enemy was Miley. And I think about that a lot too. I was actually going to say the same thing.
No, yeah, me too. I totally understand what that means.
That's all my reviews. Michelle St. Clair, you are the weakest link.
What?
Goodbye.
What? There's only two. Ah!
What would you rate this film out of 10?
1. No, 0. I would rate...
Ooh.
No, 1. I go back. I would rate it 1. I really, really hated this movie. On watching it, I immediately went, that is absolutely one of the most poorly made movies. I know we talked about like how what it's trying to do is good, and I don't disagree with that. But it was so confused and addled and muddled in what it was trying to say. And the filmmaking was just generally really, really poor. Like, it was a very poorly put together movie. The editing was sloppy. The audio was all over the place. The acting was abysmal. The cinematography was rubbish. The coloring of it and the weird, like, bloom effect on the whole thing was absolutely ugly and piss poor to look at. The score, boring. The direction, uninspired. The writing, also awkward and so strange, and I don't understand it at all. I really didn't appreciate or like this movie. It's 1 star for me. What about you?
I'll give it a 2.
I need you guys to know Abby was doing like a weird performative dance to my review, and I really enjoyed
It just
the
had the
hypnosis
same
of
energy
watching
of,
it.
I will not be lectured on misogyny by this man. Not now, not ever.
I was doing a little slam poem there.
I would give it... I didn't hate it as much, and I got a weird twinge of nostalgia.
It came out in 2012, and it didn't feel, for me, anything like what being in high school was like.
I know what you mean, because there was a lot of differences in some respect. Actually, no. I was a fucking 17-year-old in 2012.
Same.
So, oh, yeah. But I do remember using, like, shitty phones and shitty apps to try and message people. And, like, I felt a lot of her dumb fucking angst. I had people to message with things I could message on.
Total brag.
I got a weird sense of nostalgia out of this. I liked Demi Moore, I liked The Nan, and I liked that it didn't just feel like an American film, but it was terrible. It was really cringy. I'd never ever watch it again. I'm giving it a 2.3 out of 10.
Okay, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's more fair than my one. You know what? Actually, I want to revise my one to 1.3, which is the same as the setup, because I stand by they are 2 sides of the same coin. One is for 13-year-old girls and one is for 13-year-old boys. Where is my 13-year-old movie? Where is my movie for 13-year-old everything else?
Well, guys, that was LOL. Don't forget to give us a follow on social media. You can find us on Twitter at RateDescendPod, or you can email us at ratingdescending@gmail.com. Let us know if you think that Douglas Booth is actually secretly a rabbit boy, because I think he is.
You could also follow us individually. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at michelle.stclair.
And you can find me in your fucking mom's ass, all right? Tongue deep, all right?
Oh
Fuck you. Fuck off.
Oh my God.
I'm also on Insta under Abigail J. Ward.
Or also you could please drop us a review on Apple Podcasts, because it really helps all the algorithm stuff, and, you know, it's just also a nice feeling.
Yeah, means you love us. Do you love us? Do you love us?
I love us.
Do you love me? Do you love me?
Yeah.
Just say, do you love me?
I do.
You love me?
I do.
You love me?
Yeah,
Me.
I do.
You
Yeah.
love me?
No, really, genuinely.
That was pretty desperate, but okay. Like,
Yeah, I
I
was
don't
a little
actually see you
desperate
that way.
of you.
I have a boyfriend. So. What are we watching next week?
Next week, we are watching Skyline. It's another Brother Strauss movie. It had like Donald Faison. Really abysmal.
Who's the brother Strauss?
Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yes,
a blast
sir.
from the past.
It is gonna be bad. It is gonna be bullshit. It is gonna be impossible to see. We're gonna end on that note.
Yeah, baby.
Ah!
See you later. Smell the gator.